Settling into the gray. That's not my quote, that's from a very beautiful soul. But what does that mean exactly? And how do we make sense of that in the context of religion and spirituality? Well, let me tell you a beautiful story. This summer I had three amazing encounters. The first one was with a man named Akalulu, who worked at the front desk of the summer camp where we were at, and I heard that he enjoyed having these philosophical discussions. So one night I went up to him and I just said, "I have my microphone. You want to be on my podcast, and we can have a discussion around religion and science." And thankfully, he agreed to it, and we had this amazing conversation. Following that conversation, I then presented the idea to my students. There's 80 students there. I thought no one would actually show up, and surprisingly, we had 18 of the 80 students actually show up. Had this amazing, compassionate conversation, very civil discourse around religion, science, and spirituality, where they really compassionately challenged one another, and it was an incredible, incredible experience. I'll talk about that at the very, very end as well. There's a video connected with that, and then after that conversation, I presented those ideas to Mr. Akalelu again, and we further the conversation on faith and doubt and how important it is to have doubt concerning faith in order to grow and to fully expand. Now, to go back to a conversation I had with my students, after having that conversation, I wanted to bring this conversation to Springfield and to have a talk out around it. So I first have to see who's actually interested. So anybody who's interested in having this conversation, go to the website talkoutnow.com. You'll see that somewhere around here. And reach out right down in the comment section. I just need to see who would actually be interested in having this conversation. But moving on from that, at the very, very end of this video, which is about to end very soon, you'll see the final part of the discussion I had with the students. I can't share the full conversation because I promised the students I would keep that confidential. However, for the sake of being open and transparent, I wanted to share with them my spiritual journey because they had so vulnerably opened up about their spiritual journey. So that's what you'll see at the very end of this. Feel free to leave your thoughts behind. You can't really say anything to hurt my feelings, and we'll see where we go from there and how we settle in the gray.
Awesome. Anything else?
Your take. Come on.
My take is I don't think
Can
my
we do
take
tomorrow as well?
is. We can do this tomorrow. 100%.
I'd love to continue.
Yeah.
I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
My thoughts are very interesting, because I grew up in a Christian household, a very conservative Christian household, Seventh-day Adventist, and I walked away from the church when I was 13, 14 years old. I was just, because I didn't like the rules. There was so much going on in the church, like the pastor was stealing money, people were having sex in the basement. No joke. Yeah. People were organizing fist fights in the parking lot and getting money on it. This was literally happening. So then I was like,
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Maybe not the best example.
not the best example of Christianity. So
Okay.
then I was like,
That's a bad church.
this is not a space where I want to be.
Church.
So I stepped away from it. And then, ironically enough, I went to a Catholic college. And when I went to Catholic college, I did all these different retreats. I did 5 days of silence. I did that twice. That was an incredible retreat. And I would go to the church that was there, but not really to really find Christianity again, but more so find myself. And that was a very interesting experience. And then I just kind of continued on this spiritual path and just being on my own. And 5 years ago, I really took the spiritual path seriously because my mentor introduced me to Taoism. And that was, I don't know if you guys know anything about Taoism. That is if you guys ever have a chance to just read the 81 verses of Taoism, it is absolutely incredible. And that really kind of got me into meditating, finding more of myself and kind of understanding myself. That's why I keep saying that doubt is so important when it comes to religion and faith. And you have to really experience it for yourself. I remember having a philosophy teacher, and we never knew what he really believed in because he could argue both sides so well. He could argue from the atheist perspective, saying that maybe religion is just people fooling themselves, that we all need some kind of comfort. We need to feel better after we die. We need to feel like protected from nature, so we're going to pray to something, right? We need some kind of security because there's so many uncertainties in the world. And that argument made so much sense to me. Hence why, for all of you guys who are religious and have a great deal of faith, I would urge you to read Richard Dawkins' The God Delusion. And he is a militant atheist, and he hates religion. And I read his book, and I wanted to understand his perspective. And I can see his perspective. And I understood what he was saying. And at the same time, it's so hopeless and nihilistic. And it presents human beings as something that's placed on earth with no purpose, that I felt like I couldn't align myself with those beliefs. But I could understand it rationally speaking, you know? So, I just believe in, if you have any kind of doubts, put yourself in that scenario and honestly test it, you know? And this summer has also been a fascinating experience for me, simply because I lived in Germany for 7 years. And when I was living in Germany, like, there's a lot of Turkish people there, so there's a lot of Muslims there, and I had a lot of Muslim friends. And when I was there, I did Ramadan with them, and that was an incredible experience. I would, like, go to them, and they would teach me their prayers and things like that. And so I've always been fascinated with Islam. And this summer, actually, Munir is the one who got me to go to the mosque. And I went to them. I think I went to the mosque about 7 or 8 times already. 2 of those times, I had a crazy breakdown, like, just. There was a lot of things happening at home, and I just fell apart. And that, for me, was just a wonderful, beautiful space to find, like, serenity and peace, and to also find myself. And I was just like, okay, if this is providing me peace and understanding of myself, let me just go through this path a bit more. So that's how I know about Sadak, and that's how I'm learning about the prayers, and that's how I'm learning more about Islam, because I feel like I want to test it. I want to understand myself. But maybe I'll end up being Muslim. Maybe I'll go back to Christianity. Maybe I'll be Taoist. I don't know. Right now, this path feels really beautiful. So when I go back to Massachusetts, I'll keep going to the mosque, and I'll keep understanding the Quran. But that doesn't mean I abandon my Christian faith, because I will still read the Bible. And I will still have friends of mine who are atheists, and they challenge my faith all the time. So for me, it's all about self-discovery and understanding. And that's why I have these conversations. Because what ends up happening is that whenever we're in conflict, this is the way my mentor described it. It's like one person is facing this wall and one person is facing this wall, and their backs are turned to one another. And you're telling me everything you see on that wall, and I'm saying, no, that's not how the room looks. This is how the room looks. This is everything that we see on this wall. But when we have these conversations, we circle up. What we do is we turn and we face one another. And then I'm like, oh, okay, that's what you're seeing on this wall. Oh, that's what you're seeing on this wall. Oh, that's it. And we just have a better understanding. I don't expect anybody to leave here converted or agreeing or anything like that. But at least now we have a better understanding of, how does this person see science? How does this person see religion? Even amongst the people of the same religion, you'll notice that there's still nuances of I don't even want to say misunderstanding, but different perspectives. And that, for me, is what's most important. And that's why I keep doing this over and over again. That's my general thoughts on religion. What does it say on that?
Should we go to the mosque tomorrow?
Yeah, that's okay. Let's do it.
Reloading my mind. Is it you? Is it me? I'm ready to fight.